That's our opening. We'll work on the technical issues with that later, but for right now, we're slowly trying to make it a little smoother and go from there. So thank you for all of you tuning in and listening to us here at the Real Short Box. Again, my name is Donald. Of course, we have these lovely new name tags now. I think that's like right here. So I am Donald, and that over there is Jarrett. And right below me is Kevin. And in the bottom corner over here is Darren. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to be talking about classic holiday TV rankings. And Jarrett, why don't you go ahead and explain to the audience what that is? And then we'll talk a little bit about some of them that didn't quite make it into our list and why.
Yeah. There's once you get into the world of Christmas specials, of holiday specials, you can go deep. You can do some deep cuts, and we will have some deep cuts on our list. Our list is what do we have? 19?
18.
Okay, we have 18 specials. Now, this is going to be different than our last one where we talked about Christmas films. Those were full feature-length films, and we let you, the audience, vote. This one, we kind of did our collaboration as we do, and we came up with our own rankings. We will have disagreements within the group. We will have disagreements from you, the audience, and we want to hear them. But basically, we'll be talking about Christmas specials. Some ones you're going to know of and be like, yes, that's the one I love to see every year. That gives me the Christmas feeling. Some you're going to be like, what the hell is that? How did that make it on the list? Who are you guys?
Controversy breeds discussion.
Controversy creates cash. It's a book by Eric Bischoff, formerly
yes.
WCW. Now, the thing that's kind of interesting to me, when we went through our list, and we went through this pretty judiciously, we didn't really have that many, if any, actually, very, very, very few live action Christmas specials. So, for example, I really like Married with Children and 2.5 Men, and they have very good Christmas specials, but we kind of chose not to include them here because you don't think of those as like, man, every year I've got to see the Golden Girls Christmas special, or I have to see the Alf Christmas special, or something like that. We try to get stuff that more or less you can see on CBS, NBC, or ABC at any given time in the month of December. So that's kind of where I feel like we really discriminated and put that more there. Now, Kevin, if you'll take a moment to explain, we also got some titles that maybe are a little obscure.
Yes, we do. We have certain titles that you'd be quite surprised. It's titles that you've never heard of before, and titles that you probably will wonder, maybe you heard of it, but why would we pick something like that? The fellas, of course, go to me a little bit over one of my personal favorites. So when we get to that, you'll be quite amazed and amused.
Yeah, and the fun thing, I mean, at least for me, and I think I could speak for the rest of us, is with the beauty of YouTube and other streaming services, some of these you can kind of go see and check out if you haven't seen them or if you haven't seen them in a while. And I know for me it was quite a delight and also a chore on some of them, but to go and watch the ones that either I haven't seen since I was like 10 or I haven't seen at all. So it was really cool to go back and watch these. As you can see, Rankin Bass behind me, that plays very heavy. I think anybody that knows their weight in Christmas specials knows Rankin Bass were kind of the kings. Arthur Rankin Jr., Jules Bass created a production company, and for some reason, their big niche was holiday specials, and they kind of tended to use some of the same people. They used a guy named Romeo Muller, I think, who wrote a lot of them. They used a lot of the same actors. They would always have actually some like old-timey actors, which we'll get into when we get to them. But they used actors like voice actors that you might go, hey, where do I know that voice from? Paul Frees is a big one. And you would know his voice on the Disney Haunted Mansion ride. He's the guy who's like, foolish mortals and all that stuff. They kind of were the kings of the holiday specials. And then a little historic note, they also went on to later do Thundercats and Silverhawks.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So
true
a very
classics.
interesting production team.
All-time classics.
Yeah.
Thundercats. Let's end the debate right now. He-Man and Lion-O. Who wins in a fight?
It depends on a good day with that sort of omens. It can be quite effective at times. But then again, I've never seen He-Man's sword ever get broken, where I've seen the Sword of Omens get broken a few times.
Right.
So the power of Grayskull is no joke.
We've
on
posted.
aesthetics alone, you kind of got to go He-Man, but
We've posted, by the way. So.
Oh, we're posted. Great.
Yeah, we've been posted. Yeah, I would say He-Man too. I agree. I think He-Man is going to take the cake on this one. I honestly, just based upon the cartoon itself, and that Lion-O really was kind of a little whiny in the beginning.
Well, you have to remember, he is a young guy, kind of like in a man's body. Remember how he grew up pretty fast?
Oh, I remember.
First episode?
I remember.
So he's kind of like learning to become an adult and learning how to become a leader. Where He-Man, he's kind of fully formed, grown man.
Right.
I just got word from our my friend Nick and Donald's nemesis Nick, that he's going with He-Man.
Yeah, that's fair.
AJ.
well, Lion-O was also a huge pussy.
Well, what was this?
I see what you did there. Very clever. Very clever.
I've got a name.
You know what? No one can.
Yeah, dude, you got a nameplate. Yeah, everybody does. We're all named now. And did you see the lovely logo I'm holding in my hand here?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Yeah, holding a logo. Ooh la la. We all fancy now. And for those of you just tuning in, you missed the intro. It was a trial by fire, so I'm going to play it again on the outro. So please stay for that, because I want to know what everybody thinks about it. I'm very curious. It's not just me picking my nose for 2 seconds or whatever. It's an actual outro and intro. Bonnie says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Christmas Hansa Wanaka Melekalikimaka. So yes, thank you, Bonnie. You too.
Feliz Navidad.
Merry all those things to you too.
Evan says, what's up, dudes? What's up, Evan? Thanks for tuning in. We're going to jam this one out soon. It's going to be a lot of fun. Just waiting for a few more of the usuals, and perhaps we can pepper it in with some new people as well to get started on this live podcast about our rankings of Christmas classic television. It'll be a fun time. A fun time. And I will tell you, when Jarrett told me that there was a particular show that was going to be in our listing, in our ranking, it's a television show, and I was like, which one? Because there's a lot, and I was very confused, and he explained it easily, and I watched it, and it had been a long time, and it was extremely delightful to watch that on my lunch break this afternoon. So it was a nice little treat for me. To kind of got me a little more in the holiday spirit, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I enjoyed one of our picks so much I watched it twice because I hadn't seen it, or I hadn't seen it since I was like a kid. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean it's interesting because we tried to put a variety together of Christmas specials that rank everything from, I guess you would say, old-fashioned. You have a few that are very religious. You have a few that are very modern. You have a few that are kind of ironic. You have a few that maybe don't celebrate the spirit of Christmas the way you're used to. So, I think we're going to have a pretty diverse, very interesting list here for folks who are out there eagerly anticipating what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we can go ahead and get started on this, actually, because we do have a lot to get through in a little bit of time. So, folks, as you join in, or if you're watching the replay on this one, we'll have already gone through some. And those that are watching the replay, you'll know that when you get to it. So let's go ahead, and I think we can get started on this. Let's start off. How many of these in total, Jared, did we have, in the listings?
How many did we have as far as
how many?
Our total?
Yeah, how many are we going through?
Was it 18?
Yes.
18.
18.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to go through 18 of these. We're going to start on number 18. We're going to go down till we hit number 1. So number 18 on our list. I'm just going to bring up the picture now, and this looks like one that, Jared, I'm expecting you're going to take.
Yeah.
And the picture is up. It looks like
All
a
right.
little boy having a conversation with a little girl in Poland about when they will eat next.
I mean, not too off. This is the first Christmas snow. Now, when I get into something, I get into it. And I got really into Rankin Bass and like their whole catalog. So I was like, I'm gonna find like their obscure shit. And this is one of them. This is the first Christmas snow. As far as their holiday classics, we'll talk about them. They're gonna come up a bunch. Their specials in the higher numbers. In fact, they're peppered all over. But this one it's a really simple story. It's the stop motion that actually was coined by their animator. I have the name here, Tadahito Mochinaga, and they coined it Animagic. And he was an animator out of Japan. So Rankin Bass would send them the stories, and he would animate it in the Animagic, the stop motion that we've come to love. The funny thing about it is that, yeah, it's all these like American homemade, like we love these specials in America, and they were created in Japan. How interesting is that?
Wow.
International love. So this is a story about a little shepherd boy who is struck by lightning, and he becomes blind. And so this church.
I should not have laughed.
No, it's hilarious. He's struck blind, and he's taken in, adopted by this orphanage nearby. But they're like, we don't know what to do with him. He's a shepherd boy. We can't take care of him. And they just so happen to be also preparing for their Christmas, show, pageant, whatever. It's got one of the nuns is voiced by Angela Lansbury. So very familiar right there. And basically, it ends with the first Christmas snow is dropping on Christmas during the pageant, and somehow the magic of Christmas snow makes the little boy able to see again. So it totally was really messed up for young blind kids, because then they're like, oh, cool, I just got to wait for that first Christmas snow. And then they sit there and they wait, and nothing
in
happens.
the cold. You know how many small blind children froze that year? A lot.
It's the first Christmas snow. No, you need to come inside.
Yeah. Oh, my mom just popped on. Everybody say hi to my mom.
Hello.
Hi, Mom.
Hello.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah. It's the bottom of the list. Merry Christmas, Mrs. Bikini. It's on the bottom of the list because it's not bad. It's a very one-note story, but it's so obscure and random. It's like I doubt most people have seen it.
Yeah. I didn't even know it existed, to be honest.
Yeah.
And to think we prioritized this one over Small One and Nestor, the long-eared Christmas donkey.
That's true. Yeah, Small One's great. We should have had that in there. I'm sorry for all you Small One fans. It's a good one.
I thought you were saying Small Wonder, and I was like, I don't see how that fits. But
yeah, the Small Wonder Christmas special is great, where the robot girl's like "Merry Christmas" and decorates the tree.
Yeah, she's very robotic in her delivery. Let's go to number 17 here. Let me pull it up here real quick. Number 17 on our list. This one is kind of different from all the rest, really. This is the only one I think that they use actual puppetry in. I apologize, the picture is quite tiny. Let me bring that up here a little bit larger. There we go. Okay. And Darren, I think you'll probably want to take this one.
All right. We've got Emmett Otters Jug Band Christmas from Jim Henson Studios. This is probably one of the better adaptations of the Gift from the Magi story. It's very interesting. I guess you could say it's kind of takes place in a time warp almost, because like just the kind of cultural values, morals, all this stuff. It's like extraordinarily clean. If you have young kids, this is super appropriate for them. It's also got that really odd, strange Jim Henson sense of humor to it. And it basically, for lack of a better term, you've got Emmett Otter and his mother are basically very poor, and they, in order to help give each other a great Christmas, they need to win a musical, or rather a talent show competition at the local town. And the whole idea is that Emmett Otter's her son's going to create a jug band, and he's going to sell something that's extremely valuable to him so that he can get the instrument and win the competition. And then Mother's going to do the same thing in order to get an instrument for her to help her win the competition. And then you get this really bizarre competition group called the River Bottom Nightmare Band, which is just beyond hysterically funny and so perfect Jim Henson type sense of humor. Like I said, it's very wholesome. I don't know if it quite holds up the way that it should, but the story is really great. And like I said, for young kids, absolutely perfect.
I don't know. The River Bottom Nightmare Band sounds terrifying.
It does.
They are. With Chuck. Yes, he's the lead singer. He's a werewolf in a leather coat. They also are massive polluters because they're, motorcyclists. So I think it's just classic right here. But, when you also have in the beginning a cameo from the great Kermit D. Frog.
Oh, you have to. You can't have a Jim Henson production without Kermit. He was even in The Dark Crystal. He was in Labyrinth. You don't know where he's at, but he's always in there somewhere. Not really. No, I don't think so.
He was one of the Skeksis in that.
Yeah. He was hidden in the costume, rolled up inside of one of the Skeksis. He was actually rolled up in front of David Bowie's pants in the front, which is why there's a protrusion there. It's actually a rolled up Kermit D. Frog puppet. No one knew that. No one knew that.
No.
What is that, Gelfling?
Yes. Yes, please. All right, we're going to move on to number 16, I believe. Yes, number 16. Oh, my. This one I've seen. This one's not bad. It's just a bit chaotic, and that is Jack Frost.
Yeah. So here's the thing with Rankin Bass stories, too. A lot of times it's like, I think it was time filling. So it's like they had these stories that some of them came from books. Some of them were just fairy tales. And they only had like a 5-page story to work with. So then the writer came in, who is a lot of times this guy, Romeo Mueller. And they were like, I don't know, add some shit. And he would. And Jack Frost is one of the most convoluted of the Christmas specials. It starts out with a groundhog named, I forget the groundhog's name, but it's voiced by Buddy Hackett.
What's his name?
Pardon me, Pete.
Pardon me, Pete.
Pardon me, Pete. Thank you very much. Pardon me, Pete. So he introduces it, which is already weird, that a groundhog is introducing a Christmas special. But they explain it. But so then it goes into Jack Frost falls in love with this girl and he wants to become human. And then there's this evil Cossack that's like taking over the town that she's in. And there's like robot horses and like it goes bananas. But it is still fun to watch because it is still that animagic, that stop motion animation of Rankin Bass. But it's very long and it's very, very convoluted.
Yeah, it is a bit of a long one, surprisingly. But he had to have been like reusing these, right? Like just painting them different, like because a lot of these look so similar. This Jack Frost looks exactly like Kris Kringle from A Year Without a Santa Claus, if I recall. When he was younger.
I mean, it was the same designer, so maybe.
Yeah, so it's possible the guy reused a bunch of those puppets or whatever because he knew he was going to get more work. And why would you do all that extra if you didn't have to,
Well, I have a feeling Rankin Bass were definitely like, this is our budget, make it work.
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah,
Christmas
I believe.
magic.
Okay,
We blew all our money on Burl Ives.
Exactly, yeah.
That's
we have
true.
to pay Angela Lansbury. Her writer's insane. Come on.
Okay, number 15. I'm going to guess that Darren will want to take a crack at this one. Number 15, I believe, is the Claymation Christmas special.
Will Vinton's Claymation Christmas special. Will Vinton is actually the creator of Claymation. So this is run like a variety show. It is hosted in a town square by a Tyrannosaurus named Rex and a Triceratops named Herb for herbivore.
Clever.
And what you do is you've got Rex is a very uptight, very informative, very intellectual character, and Herb is just a buffoon, a partying buffoon. I guess you could call him the village idiot. And one of the running gags that starts off in the variety show is that nobody visiting the town can get the song "Here We Come a Wassailing" correct. It's always "Here we come a waffling," "Here we come a waddling," all this crazy stuff. And what they do is they essentially host a variety show where you feature kind of rather as humorous depictions of We Three Kings, Angels We Have Heard on High, Carol of the Bells, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, etc. And Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is actually sung by the California Raisins. If you're looking for quirky, if you're looking for peculiar, and if you're looking for something very 80s, this is fantastic entertainment. It is definitely something that I try to keep in my yearly Christmas tradition because it's silly. But honestly, like after about 5 or 6 jokes, there's no more laughs. But those 5 or 6 jokes are great.
It's a lot of fun, I thought. Still now, if you watch it, it's quirky, it's cute. It's worth a watch, definitely around the holidays for sure. Any other time of the year, why would you? Why?
That's weird.
There's only a few of these that they kind of can be watched other times throughout the year, to be honest. There's only a few of them, and very far and in between, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But this definitely doesn't fall into that category, but it is one that should be considered a holiday classic.
Well, Donald, in that case, if you can't watch it year-round, you can always try Will Vinton's Claymation Halloween or Will Vinton's Claymation Easter.
There we go. See, that's more like it.
Will Vinton.
Got to get him some work. All right, going to move on to the next one. All right, so now that we know all about that one, the Claymation Christmas Celebration, number 14, Ba-rum-bum-bum-bum. That is the Little Drummer Boy.
This one always grows on me. It's once again, it deals with the gift of the Magi, and in that world, it's a little kid, and it's pretty dark. He hates people because his parents are murdered by bandits. So good for the kids. So he ends up he has this kind of uncanny ability to make animals kind of follow him or do what he does by playing the drums. Hence, Little Drummer Boy. And he meets this traveling kind of like acting troupe, but it's all to scam people out of stuff. And they want the boy to be part of it because he's a little kid, but he won't smile. So they literally paint the smile on his face. So he's like an early Joker. And long story short, basically he's losing his faith in humanity, but one of his animals gets injured. And they say, there's this baby being born, and this baby might be able to heal your animal. And he's like, well, I'll do anything. So he brings the animal there, and it's the birth of Jesus, and he ends up playing his drum for the baby Jesus. And it's a pretty basic, simple story, and obviously it's biblical, but it's Rankin Bass once again. They did do, I guess, a sequel to this, which is another obscure one.
Yeah. That
I don't think had the same following as this one did, which is 7 people.
It's what's interesting is when I think of the Little Drummer Boy, I normally don't think of the special. I think more of the Vienna Choir Boys. If you've ever heard the Vienna Choir Boys singing Little Drummer Boy, it'll totally blow your mind. It's really great stuff. Because I believe, in Austria, this is where this is all based off of this Austrian tale. So, it's really a thing. But yeah, I agree with you, Jared. It's good. I mean, to a degree. But once again, I think Rankin Bass did better, and I think most people would agree with that.
Closest I've ever gotten to Vienna is their sausages. So
yeah. Also, another little drummer boy that this reminds me of is obviously the awkward Bing Crosby, David Bowie duet.
You know, I just watched that for the first time yesterday.
Really?
Very, very fascinating, yeah. And
So weird.
then I was looking on YouTube, and Will Ferrell and
John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly did a parody of it that I have yet to watch, but it's
literally like word for word exactly the same, except at the very end they kind of add some improv in,
Uh-huh.
but they do it like exactly the same.
all right. I can't wait to watch it. I'm really excited about it, to be honest. As strange as that sounds, it sounds amazing. And speaking of amazing, we are talking about giving an evil guy the Christmas spirit to the point where he helps out a bunch of little kids, or a couple little kids and a dog. And I think Kevin should take this one. We are talking about the He-Man and She-Ra Christmas special.
Oh, yes. A classic that debuted on Christmas Day 35 years ago. Essentially, what happens is
Right.
the show starts off with Adora and Adam, who are, they're the ones who become He-Man and She-Ra when they transform with the sword. They're about to celebrate their birthdays a day before Christmas. And so while they're there, Orko, who's famous for always getting himself into trouble, jumps into their spy shuttle that they're going to use to spy on Skeletor, and he ends up taken off to Earth by accident. And he finds these two earthly children named Miguel and Alicia. So while he's there, She-Ra goes to her planet of Etheria to pick up a crystal that can be used to transport Orko back. They do that. He brings the children back, and all of a sudden, Horde Prime, who is the master of Hordak and Skeletor, summons them. He says, "Hey, there's something wrong here. I mean, my evil is being challenged by these two children. They're bringing this thing called the Spirit of Christmas. It's going to destroy me or, harm me in some way." So he demands they go and capture these children. Now, the thing that always creeped me out after rewatching this, what was he going to do with these two children if he had succeeded in capturing them?
Murder him.
I guess so. That'd be pretty brutal. But they both the kids and Orko get captured by Hordak and then by Skeletor. And Skeletor, while he's taking them to Horde Prime, he starts feeling the spirit of Christmas. The little girl Alicia was like touching his heart, like, please, Mr. Skeletor, I'm cold. I'm freezing.
Right.
He's like, he's like, too bad, freeze.
Yeah. He was like, get up. And they're like, I'm so cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, get up now.
Yeah.
And and eventually he's like, okay. And he does a spell, warms her up.
He gives them focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives them coats. So then the little cute little machine puppy thing is freezing, is about to die. Oh, please, Mr. Skeletor.
This is the best.
Don't leave him there. Now, leave him.
Leave him
now. Leave him.
Skeletor is walking around in pretty much a thong and a belt.
Oh, wait, don't forget the hood, like your hood.
And the hood, yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, he has to keep his skull warm somehow. So.
Oh, we got a comment from a Ryan Brown that says, "Does Mr. Hanky make it on this list?"
Oh,
Ryan,
that's a good one. You know what? I that totally slipped my mind. Mr. Hanky is not on our list, but that is you know what it is for me? That doesn't make me feel the Christmas spirit, but it makes me crack up about the Christmas spirit a lot.
Yeah,
Mr.
I think also we're looking at when we were looking at older films, so true classics. Now, at this point, I think Mr. Hanky might qualify to be a classic because that did come out in the 90s. So we're just old. So yeah, it should be on the list. It's not, Ryan. We apologize, but we definitely appreciate Mr. Hanky because it did teach my niece that it's okay to just pick up your poop and throw it in the toilet, which is what I caught her doing once.
Wow,
great.
That's something to go public with. You know, it's interesting. If we ever do another one of these lists, I mean, especially knowing what's going to be coming on Friday, will Alex Trebek's final episode make our list?
Oh, that's right.
So
I don't think it will. I don't see that making it as a Christmas classic. Just a very sad story, though. Just a sad.
Christmas Day. What an interesting choice. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Bonnie. No love for the Christmas poo. Actually, plenty of love for the Christmas poo. In fact, I'm gonna poop tonight in honor of Mr. Hanky, and I
Put a little
suggest
hat on it.
everybody watching poop tonight too. Yeah, and we should all put little like mittens or bows on our poop before we flush it.
And for all you South Park fans out there, feel free to debate me. We all know the best episode with Mr. Hanky is the one with the Sundance Film Festival.
Oh, that's a good one. Everybody keeps eating couscous and clogging up my sewer.
All right, we're going to move on from He-Man, as fun as He-Man is. And like I said in the comments, start watching it at minute 30. Save yourself a bunch of time. That's when it gets really good.
Yeah.
So we're going to go with number 12. Darren, this is one of your favorites. This is a guy that can't see too well, Mr. Magoo.
This is totally not one of my favorites. In fact, here's the thing. I really like Mr. Magoo as a character. I mean, even the Leslie Nielsen Mr. Magoo isn't really even that bad. Okay, so as far as the Christmas Carol, the faithfulness to the story, it's pretty spot on. I think the only thing I would correct about this personally is Mr. Magoo is normally way funnier. I guess somber Mr. Magoo just didn't go for me. But the simple fact of the matter is Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol is very well known. A lot of people watch it every year. The Simpsons actually did a great parody of it called Mr. McGrew's Christmas Carol. So, yeah, I mean, this is a mainstream kind of classic, I guess you would say. But once again, it's not ideal. I would have preferred it to be funnier.
Now, do they just? I wasn't able to find the entirety of it. Do they just do the whole Christmas Carol story?
Pretty faithfully, yeah. As far as how it's the adaptation, it's pretty good in that sense. So if you're into the Christmas Carol story,
switch past and present.
They do switch past and present, which is, I guess, it's slightly
Interesting.
unorthodox, but no biggie to me. It's Mr. Magoo's. It's not Charles Dickens,
Janet popped in. Hello, Janet. Thanks for tuning in.
Aloha. Thanks for coming, Janet.
We're just at Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol, which is a classic tragedy, or a tragic classic. One or the two you pick. But we're going to move on from Mr. Magoo. Can't see any other reason why. Huh? See what I did there? Yeah, anybody? Okay. Yeah. So we're going to go to number 11. Number 11 on our list is... Okay, so Darren's wife, Katie, and I share this special bond for this movie, or this show, this special love that she introduced me to. I think it's amazing. It probably should be up there near number 1 for me, but unfortunately it's at number 11. And we are talking about the Leprechauns Christmas Gold.
I too am a fan of this one. When I was doing my deep dive into Rankin Bass, I came across a DVD that had this, Pinocchio's Christmas, which was really weird. The Stingiest Man in Town, which was Walter Matthau doing a Christmas Carol, like it was it's all Rankin Bass. And then it had Little Drummer Boy Part 2, which was just a weird DVD. But the one that stood out to me the most was the Leprechaun's Christmas Gold, because it's such a random story and the animation's awesome in it. It's like these little leprechauns are obviously protecting their gold from a banshee who's trying to steal their Christmas gold, and this sailor gets marooned on an island, and the banshee. It's so weird. There's like banshee tears, and she comes up and she's like, "There's my gold!" It's just little Irish guys and leprechauns. It's wonderful. I love the Leprechaun's Christmas Gold.
It is a classic that can be watched both on St. Patrick's Day and Christmas, which I think sets this one apart from many of the other Rankin Bass classics. The Leprechaun's Christmas Gold also is very unique in that I feel like the Banshee is kind of the star of the film. And having the villain be the star is very interesting. The kid that that comes ashore to cut down this pine tree, this Christmas tree, is definitely not the star. He's in it, and he does a good job, but it's
He's
him.
just eye candy.
It's him and the Killicalarney link there that is wonderful.
Killicalarney, yeah.
Yes, Killicalarney. If you got the shoemaking in Killicalarney, and you have the ones that they mine, and then what was
and he gets into like a fight. The little leprechaun gets into a fight with his wife, and she like throws him out. And
yeah, like a what for 200, 300, 400 years or something like that.
Yeah,
they don't see each other because they get into a dispute.
Uh-huh.
Hell of a dispute to have, guys. Hell of a dispute to have.
Tons of crazy.
It's great. It's great, guys. Highly recommend The Leprechaun's Christmas Gold. It's one of Darren's favorites as well. I know he loves this one.
What's the next one?
So we're moving on to number 10. And that one is Christmas, Christmas time is here. Time for love and time. Yeah. Yep. The classic song that everybody growing up in the 80s and 90s knew and loved was from the Chipmunks Christmas classic. Just a fantastic song. Just and a very fun film show to watch. Definitely.
Although it always confused me because it's like, oh, first off, they do the little sick kid like so bad as far as like to make you feel terrible. He's like, why did the doctor say I'm gonna die? Like it's just so like heart-wrenchingly messed up. Like why will this be my last Christmas?
he just wants a hula hoop.
Yeah. Because you're dying, Peter, that's why.
Oh, yeah, it's a weird one. Like it's all revolves around a gold harmonica that Alvin gives to the kid to make him feel good. And then he feels bad about it because he's like, Dave's going to be mad because I have to do my famous harmonica solo. And I gave it to that kid who's dying, which you would think would be like, that's a noble thing you did, which it is. And then he ends up getting a harmonica from, what was it, Mrs. Claus, but you don't know it. She's in disguise. And that's the little tag at the end. That's the M. Night Shyamalan thing at the end. We're like, oh, that was Mrs. Claus. And they're like, yeah, that's the twist.
Plot twist. Yeah, ooh la la.
Alvin. Yeah, definitely more known for the song, though, right?
Yeah, definitely. All right, number 9. Let me pull that one up. This one is the one I was talking about earlier that Jarrett helped me find and I was able to watch. And by God, if this didn't jump up near the top of my list after watching it, this is the first episode of The Simpsons. This is their Christmas episode where they get Santa's little helper, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Simpsons roasting on an open fire. I generally try to watch this one every year. Now, I've seen a lot of Simpsons episodes. Some of them make me just roll on the floor dying of laughter. There's really no moments in here like this, so to speak. No. But like it is very much embodies the greatness of The Simpsons and The Simpsons writing and stuff like that. And in the earlier Simpsons episodes, they were a lot more heartfelt. Over time, they just became very funny. And yeah, I really like this one. I think it holds up way better than people think. The Simpsons have created a number of Christmas specials. None of them compete with this one in terms of just story, delivery, character, all those kinds of things. And I'm sorry, if you're in the age group of like 35 to 50, like this is always going to have a special place in your heart, no matter what. So if you haven't seen it yet, you need to get on it. It's on Disney Plus. It's obviously can be found probably anywhere. Simpsons roasting on an open fire.
Yeah, I mean, this was the pilot for basically what has become the unending monolith that is The Simpsons. I mean, it's. I remember watching this when it came. I remember getting so excited to see this because we had seen the Simpsons shorts on the Tracy Ullman show. And they were like, they're going to make a show and they're going to start it off with this Christmas special, which was a brilliant idea. And yeah, so I watched it. Yeah, I watch this probably every year and it's still completely holds up.
Nice. I thought it was really cute, really very charming. And I know we knock The Simpsons now because they're on what, their 30th season, 31st,
32.
32nd, season, and that's a lot, guys. That's a lot of seasons to still be relevant and to still be going, and they are. They're still relevant. They're still going, but you can see how they've gotten to be what they are and how they're still able to go on. This show has a lot of heart, and this just proves the legs that it had. And it was truly very smart writing and very good storytelling. The fact that you see, after Homer not getting a bonus from his job, seeing Barney at the bar while he's drinking that tells him he should be a Santa Claus for the store, goes in to be a store Santa or mall Santa, ends up getting kind of screwed over with that gig and ends up with $13. And then it shows the low of him and his son in the parking lot of this mall. Or, actually, no, it's they go to, the low of lows is when he goes to bet on the ponies, or on the dog racing. And he goes there with $13. And Barney tells him which dog he should bet on, and he still bets on this newcomer that just appears out of nowhere because one of the dogs, something happened to him, and they got Santa's little helper. And Homer's like, "It's a sign! It's a Christmas miracle sign!" So he bets everything, all $13 on that dog, and that dog's terrible. It's the slowest dog, and the lowest low of even lower than that is he's in the parking lot with his son afterwards looking for winning tickets, to try to see if somebody actually threw away a winning ticket. And I don't know if anybody's done this and has had that happen to where they've looked for winning tickets in something, whether it be scratch-off lottos that were on the ground or something like that. You know where that's coming from. You know, like, how he has to feel just being seen doing that over and over and over and over with his son.
Yeah.
You can bend down and look and see what a scratch off if you have one, if it's a winner or whatever, and somebody tosses away. I totally get that. But the fact that he's doing this with his son, he's so desperate to try to save their Christmas, and what happens to create this true miracle of an evening, even when his own sister-in-laws are like rooting against him and want him gone out of the picture. It's a true classic and a wonderful story, and I can't recommend it enough.
Well, if he clearly wanted to deliver a great Christmas, he would have bet on Whirlwind. Kevin, do you have any thoughts about the Simpsons roasting on an open fire? I know we're in that same age group.
I just remember the famous line from Bart, "Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg."
Well, and didn't they lose all the money because Bart went to get a tattoo?
Yes.
And then they had to get it removed, so they had to spend all their Christmas money on that.
It was supposed to say mother, but it just said moth.
Right. Moth. Never got to the and they spent all cash money that they needed, that she saved in a jar for the whole year, on removing that tattoo. That just shows what a little shit he is. And by the way, Arm Fall Off Boy says, check out the Marge Be Not Proud Christmas episode as well. He says it's great.
Oh, it is. It is very good. I agree.
So thank you, Arm Fall Off Boy. We appreciate that, and hopefully other people will check it out. Let's move on to number 8, though. We've gotten a lot about a Simpsons here, so number 8 deserves a little bit of love. Number 8 on our list is a wonderful one that I watched again recently this weekend and very much enjoyed. It's the Garfield Christmas special.
Oh, yes.
Now, I didn't remember this, so I went to go watch it, and luckily they have it on YouTube. And I when I was watching it, I said, okay, I kind of remember seeing this, but I hadn't seen it since I was a kid. And this is the one that I was talking about earlier that was like pleasantly surprising and so cool. It was such a good, feel-good and funny special. I watched it twice. Yeah, had my kids watch it. It's just, I forgot how fun it was to watch Garfield cartoons as a kid. And the animation is I just love that animation, and it's definitely like a Christmas special. So go on.
And it reminds you of how fun this is, and Odie, in Garfield's relationship with each other, and Garfield's love with lasagna, and his selfishness. and yet he still can do something very selfless and wonderful in this episode. And it shows John's family. You know, you get to meet them, and his sassy grandma, and his mom that seems to do no wrong, and his dad that tells great stories, and his brother John Boy, who hates being called John Boy. Or was it John Boy or
Doc Boy?
Doc Boy, yeah, that hates being called Doc Boy, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of true classic moments to it. It's not, to me, still as great as the Halloween special because we got pirate ghosts and there's nothing better than that. But it's still really high up on the list of classic Christmas cartoons and should be reintroduced as a Christmas staple if it isn't already.
And the writing in it is great. Like the grandma's story about her missing her husband, their grandfather. It's like for a kid's animated thing, it's like really well written.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, personally, it has been a staple in my life almost every year since it's been on. Garfield Christmas is about as solid as it gets. I steal and am inspired. My humor is heavily inspired by Garfield. I think a lot of people forget how subtle some of this humor is. And it's kind of goofy humor, too. I don't know, like Garfield specials in general, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Garfield Goes to Hollywood, Garfield on the Town, like they're all really strong specials. You can't really go wrong with any of them. But I mean, yeah, of course, the gift that keeps on giving and the opening credits, there's just a lot here to work with. And yeah, I agree with you, Donald. It should definitely be introduced back into the lexicon. I don't know what happened to Garfield other than getting a modern day update on like Nickelodeon, which is awful. But, you know, these classic like Lorenzo Music, 1980s, Garfield's and early 90s. Yeah, it's great stuff. And I can actually, as an adult, still watch Garfield and Friends and find it very funny.
A bit of fun trivia. The gentleman that did the voice of Garfield did the voice of Peter Venkman in the Real Ghostbusters cartoon. Who, as we all know, Peter Venkman is played by Bill Murray, who then did the voice of Garfield in the movie for 20th Century Fox.
Full circle.
Full friggin' circle. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So that's Garfield. Bonnie, you says you hasn't seen it in forever. Bonnie, I think you need to bring it up and watch it. It is available on YouTube with commercials. There's not a ton of commercials. They are annoying, though. So just letting you know. But you can find it on YouTube for sure. So we're going to move on. I believe that was number 8, so we're going to move on to number 7. Number 7 on our list is one that is a classic, but it's one that people might not remember, especially the title of it. That is The Year Without a Santa Claus. Came out in 1974. You will know the classic song of the Heat Miser and Frost Miser, though.
Mm-hmm.
The Snow Miser.
Snow Miser.
Snow Miser, thank you, sorry.
This was another Rankin Bass one. It's based off of a book. I don't know. I love this one. It's another one which all over the place. Santa basically gets a cold and is like, I can't be Santa this year, which is a little extreme to me. I mean, he's been doing this for hundreds of years. It seems like he would, or that they'd have good medicine, but the elf doctor's like, nope, it's over. And then Mrs. Claus like sings a whole song about how she could be Santa Claus and she cross dresses as Santa. And you have the lovable elves. I think it's like Jingle Jangle or Dingle Dangle. I forget.
Jingle and Jangle.
Dingleberry, I think. Dingle and Berry.
And yeah, you got I think the most popular characters that came out of it was Heat Miser and Snow Miser, the brothers. It's just a fun one. My favorite is actually the little kid who's like the street tough kid who just sees the guy who looks like Santa outside. He's like, come on in. And then he brings him into his house and his parents meet him and they just embrace him, even though he's a stranger outside, and they take him inside. And the kid's got huge buck teeth. Like the design of him is amazing.
Yeah.
And the dad's got huge buck teeth. Mickey Rooney does Santa Claus, he also did Santa Claus in another one we'll be talking about. So he was like their go-to Santa Claus guy for a little bit.
Very well. Did a very well job. Very good job indeed. This is a classic. It's a wonderful film. Can't recommend it enough. I think we're going to go into, though, what is it, the Burgermeister? Burgermeister?
The Burgermeister.
Burgermeister.
That's it. Burgermeister Meisterburger. That's going to be coming up here very soon. So number 7 was A Year Without Santa Claus, and oh, wow, here we go. Number 6, Santa Claus is coming to town.
He is.
Mickey Rooney once again doing Santa. This is the origin of Santa Claus. Basically, you see him as a little baby get thrown out into the snow because he was a little orphan baby, and he happens to land with a whole bunch of elves, and they kind of like Elf. They take him in and they raise him, but he's obviously a human, so he grows into a grown man, but he learns a lot from the elves, like how to dress. And the weirdest thing is they go, and he learned how to have a big hearty laugh from a seal. And the seal's like, "Arr, arr," and he's like, "Arr, arr," and I'm like, how did that become ho ho? Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. You've got the Winter Warlock there. You've got Burgermeister Meisterburger, who hates toys. It shows how him and Mrs. Claus met. It shows like how stockings were created going down the chimney. It shows like and it's introduced by Fred Astaire as the mailman, which is brilliant, which I love. And it's got all the little kids asking all the things about Santa Claus, and he's like, "Well, you're gonna learn the story about Santa Claus."
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like with this one, this is one of the better animated Rankin and Bass to me. I really love the villages that are animated in it. I really love the settings. It's really cool. Like, I mean, I would agree that it's probably appropriate to where it is on the list, but visually, one of my more favorite Rankin and Bass for sure.
Yeah, it is very well done.
And there's a line from this that one of my youngest daughter said as like a 5-year-old that cracked us up, and she still says it now at 8 years old. But it was basically where it's like, and then Kris Kringle grew older, and then it just has him turn around and he's like, "I'm a man now, Tanta," which was his elf mom, Tanta. And so all of a sudden my daughter just turns around and it's like, "I'm a man now, Tanta." Still cracks me up.
Oh, that's adorable. Chris Turner says it's his favorite, by the way, and my mother agrees it's a very good one. So we're in good company tonight.
That's a classic.
Yeah, and we're going to move from number 6. We're going to go all the way down to number 5. Number 5 now is a piece of trash, so enjoy talking about it.
All right, the Charlie Brown Christmas special. So,
oh, jeez.
Because, and these are little things that I know Donald wants to continue to live in denial about. This is arguably the most recognized Christmas special in American television history.
Especially the opening song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a staple. It is an institution all unto itself. Now, does that necessarily mean it's great? It really depends on your taste and what you really like. It definitely has the very Christian view of Christmas, especially when Linus gives his very, very classic monologue. But at the same time, Charlie Brown is a totally sour individual, which I know when you think of Christmas, sour is not really the thought that's supposed to come into your brain. It has your classic moments of Lucy pulling away the football, Lucy giving 5-cent psychology advice, or psychological advice, rather. And, you have just Snoopy, which I know Kevin is a huge fan of Snoopy in this. He kind of steals the show. Schroeder is really funny how he keeps pushing Lucy away. I don't know. It's an institution. If you haven't seen this one yet, I'm not going to say anymore. You should have probably seen it 10 years ago.
And also the jazz sequence, the kids are tripping out in their dance moves when they're practicing for the Christmas play. That's very entertaining.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I fell asleep.
All those peanut kids chasing their dragon with that sweet jazz music. Now, I was saying off air that if you didn't have the Vincent Guaraldi score to this, it would be a very empty Christmas special. But you can't walk into a department store or a Starbucks or anything around the holidays, and one of those songs isn't going to be playing in the background. So
if it does, I walk out. I walk out. They've so many stores have lost business from me because I just walk out. Can't do it.
You didn't want to taste the snow and then like in them and
no.
peanuts.
I mean, not only does it air every year on major television networks, it's also heavily advertised every year. They want you to see it. Maybe there's something in there they want you to see. Ooh, who knows?
Okay, so here's the thing. Bonnie, TJ, Air Samurai, y'all like it, I get it. You know, it's a classic. It's a classic, but here's the thing, not all classics are good. They're just classics because a lot of people, somebody told you they were and you just kept watching them. And suddenly it has to be seen and we have to watch it. But why do you have to see something that's so goddamn depressing 90% of the time? This 90% of this little movie is the most depressing thing I've ever seen. There's only 10% in there that's like uplifting and happy. And that doesn't cut it for me. Like, I need a little more joy. And this Christmas special is for pessimistic people. It is for sour people that don't really like Christmas, but think that Christmas it has to be played in order to enjoy it. And that's not true.
Yes.
You don't have to play this movie in order to enjoy it. Garfield should be much higher on this list. It should be before this. I propose that we bring back the joy of Garfield and we get rid of Charlie Brown. So what say ye, audience? What say ye?
I don't think so. This is an institution.
Let's drop the Charlie and bring on the Garfield.
In the words of the Big Lebowski, it's only like your opinion, man.
That's right. You're entitled to your opinion, but you're not entitled to your facts.
Oh, my opinion is fact, buddy. I'm going to tell you right now. This is caca. All right, so we've got some... I've gotten a few hate letters here, so let me read them. Bonnie says, I don't think we can be friends anymore. We had a good run. Thanks, Bonnie. I appreciate that. TJ says, at one point, had most of the piano songs memorized, and they are so fun to play and perfect for this season. I can guarantee you, Jingle Bells is fun to play too, TJ. Jingle Bells.
I prefer green sleeves.
Have you seen Requiem for a Dream, Donald? That's depressing. Not Charles Brown. You know what, Arm Fall Off Boy? If you put Charlie Brown in the lead role of Requiem for the Dream, I don't think much would change.
Well, Charlie Brown's not a drug user. I don't know about that.
Are we sure?
Jared Leto, dude.
Are we sure about that? He's definitely on some antidepressants. I'm going to tell you that. And they ain't working.
He's like 8 years old. How's he on antidepressants? You wouldn't put an 8-year-old on antidepressants.
Also, you
They have.
It's all the other kids are super rude to him. They're like, Charlie Brown, you're a piece of shit. And he's like, I just walked in the room. Like, I don't understand. Like,
to be fair, Charlie kind of gives off a pretty sucky vibe. Like, I can't really blame the kids for that. I mean,
but what came first, the chicken or the egg with that? Were they always shitty to him, and that's why he's got that attitude?
But do we have to try to figure this out? No, we can just watch Garfield.
But they also made it up to him at the end with the tree. So do the math, people.
Leprechaun Christmas Gold. That's all I'm going to say. That's it.
Yeah, I figured you'd go there.
My mom just sent me to the corner, so
as you should.
We're going to have to move on from my hate of Charlie Brown's Christmas special and go on to the next one here. Thank God we have more. Number 4 is a much better film, and I hope we can all agree that Mickey's Christmas Carol is amazing.
I think out of all our lists, this is aesthetically the best looking film still to this day out of all of these. Because, I mean, obviously it's animated like classic Disney animation. It's obviously a take on A Christmas Carol. But the cool thing is they put some obscure and some big characters in as the parts in the Charles Dickens classic. I've watched this since it came out every year. So it's very dear to my heart. So I love this one. Yeah.
Mickey's Christmas Carol is very strong. It's a heavyweight. Obviously, there's not much to explain about it. You've probably all seen it at this point, and if you haven't, you probably should have 10 years ago.
Yeah, and how about the Ghost of Christmas Future being played by Pete? How amazing is that?
Terrifying.
Pete, who is actually a very large cat, by the way, not a dog and not a bear, because that was retconned. He used to be a bear, and then they changed him to a cat. Katie can back me up on this.
And also, your live on-air fact check also said it is the oldest of Walt Disney characters.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Created
he's
in 1925, 3 years before Mickey Mouse.
right because he was with what that rabbit? Was it Wally the rabbit?
Oswald
No,
the
he was with
Rabbit.
Alice
Oswald.
Short.
And he was actually created before Mortimer the Mouse.
Yeah.
Now that's telling you something. That is amazing. That is amazing.
Giving you trivia to use in your life.
By the way, Janet
That's
says
not-
Charlie Brown can't understand what his teachers are saying with the wah 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 wah. Maybe he is on drugs.
Aw.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you.
All right, I think we're going to have to do like a Pete episode, maybe a Clarabelle Cow episode. I think we'd get like 9 views, but hey.
Yeah, I think we would. Bonnie says, I do love me some Mickey's Christmas Carol. I just watched it last night. Bonnie, I just watched it last night, so I think I did. Did I watch it last night? I don't know. I drink. But it's great. It's a fantastic film. Scrooge McDuck as Ebenezer Scrooge. You can't get better casting than that. You really can't.
I also love the fact that you're supposed to completely have suspension of disbelief that these mice can have a turkey dinner.
They could.
I'm
Why
just
not?
saying.
Why not? All right, so Mickey's Christmas Carol is a true classic. So we're going to move on now to... We're getting down there. We're getting to our final... Looks like our final 3 here on our list. So number 3 is a big one, guys. And you might have thought this was number 1, but it's not. And we're talking about Dr. Seuss's How a Grinch Stole Christmas.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. Yeah, nothing says holidays. I mean, like, this is definitely deserves to be in the top 3. You got Boris Karloff narrating. You got Tony the Tiger, Thurl Ravencroft doing the singing, because they're great. Yeah, this is a classic. I mean, it's also like verbatim from the book. If you're a Dr. Seuss fan, it's pretty much, aside from some action sequences, it's pretty much identical to the story. And the music is wonderful. It's it's great.
I guarantee you, when this was made and aired, they had no idea how popular it would be. You have to think, like, the idea of like the Grinch, and the Grinch is kind of a scary looking, thing for your Christmas. The fact that this Grinch is so beloved by folks, and are people who would argue for it to be their absolute favorite. I totally understand why you would say that. It's kind of just tremendous to me, and it has also inspired untold numbers of Grinch-style movies and with the Grinch in it. So, like I said, I think this is unique. It really kind of stands on its own. I don't really think there's an animated special as unique as this. And it definitely, it gives you the spirit of Christmas, but it's also not super fluffy. And some folks don't like super fluffy. I mean, obviously, Charlie Brown's Christmas is very fluffy, and Donald just doesn't see it. Maybe I'm the guy going, wah, 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 and he just can't hear me because he's Charlie Brown on drugs.
Nah, I don't think that's it. But it's a good try. Valid try. The Grinch is great. Jim Carrey did it. He did a wonderful job. And then I think it was the Studio of Illumination tried to do it. And from what I'm told, it's great. I never saw it. I never saw the need to see it. We already have one animated version and one very animated man doing a live-action version. So I didn't see the need to do another animated version. But I hear it's fun. So for those of you that haven't seen that, you should check that out. Those of you that haven't seen the Jim Carrey version, check that out. And those that haven't seen the original classic, shame on you. You should watch it now.
And you dog lovers would love Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's number 3 on the list. And much better music, by the way, Bonnie, than Charlie Brown. So I'm just going to say. Number 2 is a big one, guys. And pretty much we have it to where the point is you're going to say, okay, so I know what number 1 is and number 2 is, but I don't know which one is number 1 and which one is number 2. So as soon as we tell you what this one is, you're going to know what number 1 is. And it's just the way it is. So number 2 is about a magic hat, and we're talking about Frosty the Snowman.
Oh, Frosty Returns? Oh, Frosty Returns is a great sequel.
Frosty Returns with who is the narrator in that one?
Oh, well, John Goodman is Frosty.
John Goodman's Frosty, and then God, it's an old comedian though is doing the
Jackie Mason. I don't know.
Oh, who is it? It's oh God, it's gonna kill me. I'm gonna find it. But
Jonathan Winters.
Jonathan Winters, yes. Yeah. Frosty Returns is very weird.
Yeah.
Frosty the Snowman is great. You have obviously the magic hat with the magician, and it doesn't work for him, right? The magic doesn't work for him, but when it goes on Frosty, it makes him a snowman. And then he kidnaps a little girl, and they go to the North Pole. What? Something?
No. Come on.
Yeah. He kidnaps her, and then she's freezing to death in the car.
Buddy.
I think that's like a twisted version of the story.
I interpreted it wrong.
TJ remembers them stowing away on a train car with a bunch of ice cream. Was it ice cream? I don't remember it being ice cream, but could have been.
Ice cubes.
Oh, a bunch of wrappers.
So what I think, the reason that I really like Frosty the Snowman, something that fascinates me, is how, the culture has changed over the decades as far as how people kind of look at Christmas and view Christmas. And Frosty the Snowman, yeah, it's family oriented, but it was also heavily targeted toward kids. And the fact that children had to see this, which had such a sad conclusion to it. I think bittersweet would be the wrong term. Very sad conclusion. Frosty melts away and everything. That's a lot to put on kids, back in 1964, 65-ish, kind of era. So that kind of fascinates me more because I feel like a story like this geared toward kids is harder to make because it's just really not all that pleasant in the end.
Yeah.
But it's very pleasant. In the during, it's very pleasant. It's very fun. You can make the argument that it's more enjoyable than our number one, but better. I don't know. That's
Frosty. Frosty comes back.
They're both
back once a year.
Someday he comes
True.
back. You know the song, Kevin. He comes back someday.
Yeah. Yeah, Kevin. Get that straight. So
Wasn't when they bring him to the North Pole because he can live there forever because it's always.
I think so, and I think she wanted to come with him. I don't think he kidnapped her. I think she was like.
I was kidding.
Insistent.
And then.
Sure, Jarrett, you were kidding.
And then Summer Wheeze comes in. Frosty Returns, and the man just wants to eliminate Winter, which is weird.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about the number 2, not the number 72.
And then
Frosty Returns, man.
Don't ever see the other deep cut of Rankin Bass because you can go too deep. Frosty's Shiny New Year or something like that, or Frosty.
Yeah. Rudolph.
Rudolph's no. Rudolph's Shiny New Year is not bad. It's Frosty and it's a Frosty and Rudolph one where they tried to pair them up like it was like trying to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone finally working together. It's Frosty and Rudolph by Rankin Bass, and it's just not good. It's really long and super convoluted.
Yeah,
but it's
so don't watch it.
Christmas in July too.
That's the one. Christmas in July. I think that's the one. Don't
watch it unless you're drinking or you're Charlie Brown, aka on some type of drug.
And whenever the day comes up, I'll make sure to go, "Happy birthday!"
Janet says, "Kevin, I cried watching Frosty." Oh,
there we go.
So Frosty's number 2, which makes what
Jimmy
number
Durante
1?
In the beginning, that's what it was. Jimmy Durante.
Number 1 in our rankings is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows.
Like a light bulb.
Yeah, there we go. So Frosty is number 2, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer at number 1. I think the unique aspect of this is we have a dentist wannabe. It's an elf that doesn't want to make presents.
I want to be a dentist.
He wants to be a dentist. That's such a cool, original idea, and I love it so much. An elf that's like, guys, I don't want to wrap these toys or make them. I want to be a dentist. I want to be, help people.
Cornelius.
Yukon Cornelius is amazing. He's such a unique character as well. The Yeti or Abominable Snowman character is awesome and great. How we have him be. When I was a kid, he was scary as shit. Even
Oh,
when
yeah.
I knew the outcome, when I would watch it the next year, I would still get so scared because he was
Dude,
so scary looking.
Nothing says Christmas more to me, and one of my favorite voices in the world is Burl Ives. That guy's voice is so sweet and oh god, it's just home. It's like, and him as the snowman, just introducing it all, and yeah, nothing's. I mean, when I would watch this as a kid, and to this day, that film will get me in the Christmas spirit like that.
Yep.
And also, now the other little reindeer that accepted Rudolph for who he was, Clarice. How touching was that? All the reindeer were making fun of him and his nose, but she's like, you know what? I like you for who you are.
Yeah.
Tree.
Okay, so here's what I kind of really dig about this. So this song originated in 1949. Gene Autry was a part of this.
1964.
And in 1964, what I kind of find interesting about this, I'm going to combine what all you guys say. It actually took lyrics from the song and created that into the story in a very faithful way. Everything down to the reindeer games, even, little things like that. But also, too, Donald, and I'm glad you mentioned Hermie, because I was going to mention him as well. That is the perfect quirk that was needed to this story. Because I feel like this story, I think it's good even without the dentist, but I think the dentist really separates it and makes it more unique.
Yeah.
And probably even pushes it over the top as the greatest Christmas special, which, by the way, I love to always rub in your face how popular Charlie Brown is on TV. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is equally, if not more popular on television. I mean, you'll never miss this if you're looking for it. I promise you. It's been playing consistently since 1964.
In this case, no doubt, I would take Rudolph over Charlie for sure. I mean, that red nose, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
I'm cute.
Did anybody else, when they were a kid, do you remember when the little guy, the little elf, what was his name, Darren? I'm sorry. Hermie. When Hermie was going to take like his dentist instrument, and go after the abominable snowman, did anybody else think that he went up through the bottom of the abominable snowman to pull out his tooth?
I certainly did not, sir.
Okay, because when I was a kid, I swore that that's what happened, like every time. If rewatch it and see if you can see what I saw when I was a kid. Because I swear that he got up underneath, and went up through the bottom of the abominable snowman to pull his tooth. It just looks so weird to me.
So another thing, a comment from TJ that I think I'm kind of surprised we didn't mention it. The Island of Misfit Toys.
Yep.
What a cool little quirk.
Concept, yeah.
The squirt gun that shoots jelly. The train with like square wheels.
Charlie in the box instead of Jack.
Charlie in the box.
Yeah. Really good ideas.
What is it? The cowboy who rides
an ostrich.
Rides an ostrich, dude.
Yeah. And we can all agree that this is the most well-written Rankin and Bass, correct?
Yeah, sure.
Like, this one fired on all cylinders. This one defined them. If it wasn't for this one, I don't think we would have had any more after it, because this one was so successful and so well done.
And now, I don't know about you, but when you go to the snow, I always take my ice pick and I throw it up in the air, and then I have it hit the ground, and then I go and I lick it with my tongue, and then I go, nothing, right?
Right. I do it all the time. I check for gold. Sometimes it's just yellow snow, but I do that, yeah.
And this story is universal. This could be told anywhere around the world. Everybody would understand it. Learning to fit in, learning to accept people for their differences.
Yeah.
Well, much like and what actually became a whole show. But I don't know if you guys remember, before Cobra Kai came out, there was a YouTube video that showed like how Daniel was the villain. And
oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Somebody did a video similar to that of how much of an asshole Santa Claus is in Rudolph, but until the end when he needs him, and it just shows him like telling them like, oh, you got to do something about this kid, like something's wrong with him, and then when the elves put on the show, he just is like bored and doesn't want to watch it.
That's true. He was a jerk. Santa was a jerk in this. That's true.
Man. Hey, Rudolph had a lot to live up to. I'm just gonna say, you not just any reindeer gets to, steer Santa's sleigh.
This is the big game, guys. This is the big game. This is the show. This is, and he has to, And at this point, he's been riding the bench the entire time. So it took a big, major issue for him to be pulled off the bench and to come into play. And that is
Major blizzard.
a major blizzard.
Christmas.
Yeah, I seriously can't even think of one other piece of content that has seriously tried to address the Rudolph story, because this is open shut. Like, this is the Rudolph story. There is none equivalent. There will never be any equivalent, which kind of probably puts it at number one.
Yep, proudly puts it at number one. We're talking Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and thus ends our ranking of television Christmas classics. So thank you for all that have tuned in. If you can, please stay for the short little outro, the little ending we're going to add to our video. I want to get everybody's opinion on this, so please feel free to stay. And then if you can get on YouTube and leave a comment whether you liked it or didn't like it, we can keep it off or keep it on or whatever. I'm curious as to how it will play out. But with that, I think we're going to call it an evening. Thank you so much for all that tuned in for this. This was a good little pre-Christmas, only a few more days before Christmas, actually, live podcast. We're not going to have one next week, being right before New Year's, and we may or may not have one the following week. That remains to be seen. So we might be gone for up to 3 weeks. It might just be 2. We will certainly keep you posted and let you know. Please keep an eye on our social media, our Facebook page, our Instagram, and our Twitter account for updates on that information. So
we do have audio. We have a lot of the audio pods that are coming out.
Right. Yeah. That's just the live action pods. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't make that clear. The audio pods will still be churning out. I don't think that we're going to have a new one next week, audio pod. So we might just be dead on the air next week completely. No live audio and no live and no audio podcast. But we'll have one the following week for sure. At least audio coming out for you. And we will have one either tomorrow or Wednesday that's going to air. I think we'll push it out a little early tomorrow and get it out for you. It's going to be Holiday Christmas Classics. It's where me and Darren's wife, Katie, discuss some of the great classic Christmas films like Miracle on 34th Street. We're talking about, what was the other one? It's a Wonderful Life. And probably like 6 or 7 more classics to throw in there that we talk about that probably a lot of you haven't heard of that might be interesting to find out about and maybe pop in for Christmas Eve or, Wednesday before Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve might be a perfect time for it. So.
Yeah.
And we've also been extraordinarily lucky that our guests are almost specialists. They're very knowledgeable in the areas that we bring them in to talk about. So you will definitely learn a lot and have a lot of fun.
Yeah, we did a really fun one last week, Christmas Oddities, with a stand-up comedian, Reza Asghari. And we did one before that with Brianna Judy that was a fantastic one. She's a actor, Brianna Judy, that we did one on holiday horror. So please check those audio podcasts out as well. We're on all the Podiocast formats, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, and so on and so on and so on. We're on all of them. And if you can't find us on one, please let us know. We'll pop on there. But with that, my name is Donald.
I'm Darren.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Jared.
And if we don't see you anytime soon, perhaps someday we will see you
at the sweet, precious, homely, and safe comic book
shop.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Boy!
Have a good night.
2021. Be safe.
Merry Christmas, everybody.